In late 2022, generative AI broke out of the lab and hit the public internet. OpenAI released ChatGPT, and overnight, hundreds of millions of people were prompting, generating, and exploring an entirely new category of software. The tech industry panicked. Companies whose core business relies on search and software scrambled to react. Google declared a code red, Meta spun up new divisions, and Microsoft integrated models directly into Bing. But out of Cupertino, there was absolute silence. For months, Apple executives refused to even utter the letters AI during their keynotes. Behind closed doors, though, they were scrambling. Engineers were pulling long hours, trying to build out a suite of tools they would eventually call Apple Intelligence to relieve the sudden market pressure. Looking at the timeline, the conclusion felt obvious. The most valuable tech company on Earth was completely caught off guard by the future. Their public rollout did little to dispel that idea. Apple announced a brand new Siri, only to delay it for nearly 2 years. To even get a functional generative tool on the iPhone, they had to partner up with their fiercest rivals, OpenAI and Google, patching outside technology into their own operating system. There is a sharp irony here. The company that defined modern mobile computing with the iPhone seemed to be sleeping as the next major technological wave crashed over the industry. Adding AI emojis and a few writing tools gave investors a reason to think Apple was staying competitive. But writing off those early features as a desperate gimmick misses the actual strategy at play. Declaring Apple the definitive loser assumes everyone is running the exact same race. The reality is that the tech industry is running two distinct AI races. Apple didn't lose the first one by accident. They forfeited it entirely so they could dominate the second. Let's look at Race 1, the battle to build the smartest, most capable large language models running on massive cloud servers. In this arena, OpenAI and Google hold an undeniable lead. But ceding that early ground is standard operating procedure for Apple. Their playbook relies entirely on patience. They let the early adopters burn billions of dollars on research and development. They watch competitors find the bugs, figure out the safety guardrails, and train 100 million users on how to actually talk to a chatbot. Companies like Google have to build cutting-edge web models because their survival relies entirely on dominating search traffic. Apple sells physical devices. Apple's early AI didn't need to be the absolute best in the world. It just had to be good enough to keep people buying iPhones while they bought time for the real battle. Running complex AI requires the cloud. The processing is too heavy for phones, but distant servers create latency and privacy risks. For secure, instant responses, computing must move locally. As on-device models improve, users will stop needing the cloud. Everything happens in your pocket. This is Race 2, the hardware trap. Running heavy, localized artificial intelligence requires machines packed with massive amounts of memory and highly specialized neural processors. When everyone suddenly needs to upgrade to a hyper-powerful device just to run their personal AI, who is perfectly positioned to sell them that physical machine? Apple's goal was never to outsmart ChatGPT. It was to weave localized AI so deeply into iMessage, Calendar, and Photos that users would have absolutely no reason to ever leave the iOS ecosystem. They use software as a defensive moat. As long as Apple Intelligence works well enough locally, their trillion-dollar hardware empire remains protected. Fast forward to mid-2026, and this exact dynamic played out. Apple rolled out the fully rebuilt Siri AI in their iOS 27 betas, delivering the robust, on-device assistant they promised years prior. This version of Siri doesn't operate like a standard chatbot. It functions as a system-level tool, seamlessly multitasking across different apps and pulling real-time context from your personal life to execute specific commands. It might not write software code from scratch, but it completely masters the daily logistical tasks that keep a regular consumer heavily dependent on their iPhone. By holding out and focusing strictly on their own ecosystem, Apple closed the loop. Their initial software delay proved to be a deliberate, highly effective play to secure their monopoly over the physical device. But the software giants understand that exact same math. They know that if the future happens entirely on device, they have to find a way to bypass the iPhone to survive. That realization forced OpenAI into a radical pivot. They are officially building their own hardware. aiming for a 2027 rollout of a screen-free, mobile smart speaker with moving mechanical parts, designed to act as a proactive, living AI companion. To make sure it can actually compete, OpenAI partnered directly with Johnny Ive, the legendary former design chief who built the modern look of Apple's hardware. Apple did not take that quietly. The two companies are now locked in aggressive legal battles, with Apple suing OpenAI for trade secret theft. At the same time, Apple is rushing their own robotic smart home hub, codenamed J490, to market, to ensure they control the physical spaces where users interact. Apple didn't lose the AI race. They simply bided their time. They let competitors build the software, and then dragged everyone out of the cloud and onto the exact physical battlefield they already control.